one thing. Second is the process that was adopted by the government in implementation of these laws. And then third is the political aspect, which is taking the limelight and occupying a lot of media space in India and across some of the countries globally also. These are the three aspects briefly I'll tell you. The thing, over the last 2 decades, there had been an ample discussion on the status of agriculture sector in India. The agriculture sector occupies about 57% of our population and almost more than 70% of our rural population. They are involved into agriculture activities. Its contribution to overall GDP is only about 13 to 14%. So a small chunk of GDP is generally distributed to a large chunk of population. That was the status. Because of that, many problems in the Indian economy were there, either about poverty or a low investment into agriculture sector, capital formation, mechanization. So many issues are there in the agriculture sector and rural economy. On the other hand, the issue is about the what for this status to rectify. Government had been tackling in on various aspects, and these were basically agriculture sector was getting lot of support from the government. It was about, so a lot of subsidy goes into the agriculture sector. About 1.15 lakh crore of subsidies is annually given to the agriculture sector in the form of power subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, and other subsidies. So a big chunk goes into that, and the holding is quite fragmented. About 82% of the field farmland is less than 5 acres of land. So the agriculture sector is quite, land holding is very much fragmented. Government supports the agriculture sector through agriculture subsidy. Second thing is about their direct benefit transfer has also been announced over a period, particularly during our current regime. Lot of money is going to the farm sector in the form of direct benefit transfer through Kisan Samman Nidhi, around 6,000 rupees annually, and it amounts to around 72,000 crores annual subsidy, annual support to the farm sector. Then there is insurance subsidy which is being given by the central government for agriculture sector about risk mitigation, and it is around 20,000 crores of amount is being paid on the insurance sector. Then there is an interest subversion also. Total annual credit offtake for the agriculture sector is around 13.5 lakh crores, and government gives a subsidy on the interest also to the banking sector so that a low cost agriculture credit is available. In addition to this, there is no tax on the agriculture income. It is completely tax-free income that the agriculture sector has. And on the same time, the government also provides this rural areas, Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee scheme is also there, where more actually annually it is around 60,000 crores subsidy that the government gives to the agriculture sector. But this year, because of COVID, government has twice increased. Lot of migrant labor went back to their native places in the rural areas, and most of them, their families is occupied in the agriculture sector, but they were not finding gainful employment. So around 1.5 lakh crore of annual expenditure was done, but annually it is 60,000 crore. And the last thing that agriculture sector is given through is MSP, minimum support price. which is one of the major contentious area on the current reform bill. Minimum support price is given in around 23 food grain items, and it is not there on milk product and even fruit, vegetables, etc. Only majorly the MSP is given on wheat and rice, paddy. These are the two main crops where MSP is provided. That is the minimum support price that is provided by the central government. Government has a this public distribution system, and public distribution system, the government is giving food grains to people with below poverty, BPL families. And for that, whatever procurement government has to do for food grain item, that is procured at this minimum support price. This is the guaranteed support price because there are a lot of fluctuation in the agriculture sector. So minimum support price is guaranteed by the government, and there is a Committee on Agriculture Produce, CACP, which decide what is the cost of production. Every year it decides on every commodity food grain production, what will be the cost of that production, which includes interest and other input cost, fertilizer, whatever labor, etc., except land cost. Except land cost, other cost, input cost is calculated every year on the major 23 food items. And once that is decided, this is the cost of production. And on that, earlier, this MSP was lower, but during last 2-3 years, slowly we have increased it to 150% of the cost. And this MSP of 150% was recommended by one of the important committee on the agriculture reform. Committee was set up in 2006 by MS Swamin, under the chairmanship of Mr. MS Swaminathan, who recommended such agriculture reforms, including 150% of the cost of production to the farmers. And on this 150% on the cost of production, the government generally procures. And that is called the MS, minimum support price. Rest, the whatever other than government is procuring, that has to be sold by the farmers to the open market. And we have a structure of local Anaj Mandis, which is called APMC, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees, in many areas, in the rural areas at least. We have around 7,000 APMC Mandis, which are designated place for commodity trade. Through this Mandis, structure, physical structure is generally created by the government, but there are members of those committees who are traders, food grain traders. They procure for the government on the MSP for government's public distribution system, as well as the balance which is not procured by the government, that is also traded through these mandis. And legally, farmers are not allowed to trade outside these mandis. Any food grain, etc., has to be traded through these mandis, through these adatiyas. These are the middlemen. And that is the APMC structure through which the whole marketing, agriculture produce marketing is taking place. Some 2-3 years back, even the food, fruits and vegetables, etc., were also to be traded through designated mandis. But because this structure over the period has created certain monopolies of these middlemen, and government procures approximately in the earlier a committee was set up by the government, central government, which was under the chairmanship of Shanta Kumarji. They analyzed and surveyed that only 6% of the total produce, farm produce, commodity produced by the farmers is procured on MSP, which has to be slowly increased. So in our 7 years regime, we have increased the procurement on MSP from 6 to, at current level, or about 15% of the total produce is procured by the government on the MSP, minimum support price. Balance 85% approximately, the farmers have to sell in the open, in the market through mandis. And the structure was that the farmers cannot sell outside these mandis, and they were at the vagaries of this monopoly of this middleman. And Shanta Kumar committee, even MS Swaminathan committee, they recommended that we need a market reform for open transparency, and farmers being able to sell outside these mandis should be done. In addition, government had earlier, because MSP is not decided on this fruits, vegetables, etc. And other than these 23 items, government does not decide on MSP. So it was decided that farmers should have a choice to sell their produce even outside these mandis also, because of monopoly of these market mandis, they are many times exploited. So this was the one area, and even I told two committees were there which had recommended, which were set up to suggest the government what are the reforms required for the bad condition of the farming sector, agriculture, rural sector. There were two more committees which were set up. One was an empowered committee of agriculture ministers of the states. In a federal structure, state governments are different, different parties have different, states are ruled by different parties, and many of the states are ruled by the BJP. But a committee was set up by the central government of agriculture ministers of the states. What reforms are required for the agriculture sector to increase, as Prime Minister had targeted and said that I want to increase the income of the farmers. We need certain reforms, so that farmers' income is doubled over a period of time. They are feeling a lot of hardship. Even after giving so many subsidies and support, etc., the farmers are, the conditions of farmers was not there. So the Agriculture Ministers Committee also had recommended that we need opening up of the agriculture market, and we need competition in the agriculture market. We need to break the monopoly of APMC mandis and farmers, because 85% of the produce has to be sold in the open market. So they need competition so that they can better realize their prices, and they can decide on what price they want to sell their produce. This is the one basic area. Even after that, a standing committee, because major all the laws are made in the parliament. So the parliament has a standing committee on agriculture. The standing committee on agriculture was also asked to suggest certain reforms. This standing committee on agriculture, in its 62nd report, has extensively dealt with what reforms are required in the farming sector. So in its 62nd report, which is in the public domain, they had recommended this market reforms, more private investment, privatization of trade of food grain items. So many recommendations were there. And they had contacted almost 300 farm organizations across India. They went to various places, met farmers organizations, met agriculture economists and different sectors. And after that, they had submitted a report. So there are 4 important reports based on that, these reform. There was a consensus over the last 20 years that we need a reform process in the agriculture sector. They were basically Agriculture Ministers Committee, Empowered Committee of State Agriculture Ministers, a Standing Committee on the Parliament, then Shanta Kumar Committee had given certain suggestions, and MS Swaminathan. And various platforms, farmers organizations, certain NGOs also very active. There were 2 big farm sectors leaders. One is Sharad Joshi, and Shetkari Sangatana is one of the very large organization active in Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat areas, and it is a very active organization. And Sharad Joshi is a big leader on the. He is now not no more, but he had also been talking about market reforms for the agriculture sector. Even Mahendra Tikait of the Bharatiya Kisan Union, whose son is now Rakesh Tikait, is the one of the leader, but his father is no more, but he was also a very big leader. They had also recommended. So there was a consensus on everywhere, even on the political parties manifesto also, there was in most of the political party, including Congress everywhere, that agriculture sector needs a market reforms, and this was the basic area. The government had been supporting lot of farm through subsidies, etc. And even on MSP, government was annually spending about 4 lakh crores. So this was the status, and the after this, two, three important areas are why the farmers problem of their not getting proper prices was there, that government, the warehousing and storage capacity in India is quite not sufficient to hold all the food grain which is being produced. Over the period, food grain production has increased manifold, but the investment into the agriculture sector with regard to cold storage, with regard to efficient supply chain management, warehousing, for to market, etc., it requires a huge investment. And the government had limited capacity of investing because already agriculture budget of the government with subsidies and credit subversion and MSP, etc., government was spending large amount on the agriculture sector. So government needed more resource. There was consensus that more private investment has to be brought into this sector so that we have a robust warehousing facilities, cold chain, supply market, mandis, modernization of these mandis, etc. And in addition to that, the requirement was estimated that we need around, we have 7,000 APMC mandis at present. We need around 40,000, 30,000 more mandis across India so that farmers can sell their produce. Now they have to go sometimes to more than 100 and 150 kilometers to sell their produce. And once they reach there, and if the mandi aadhatiyas and middlemen have a monopoly, they do not purchase, or they force the farmers to sell their produce at one particular rate below the MSP. And if the farmers don't sell, they have no option to go to sell to outside or bring back the food because there is no storage capacity, etc. So modernization of mandis, new mandis, warehousing, cold chain, all these required huge investment into from the private sector, which the government itself cannot, government does not have sufficient funds. So there was a consensus that private investment is needed for better realization of prices to the farm produce. Even food processing industry is very low key at present. There is no mechanization and in the farm sector, and even food processing, etc., is not very robust in India. And therefore, though we are one of the largest, largest producer of food grain in the world globally, but we have only 2% share of the global trade in the agriculture sector. So this also needed, food processing industries also needed private investment from the sector. So there was a need of this also. The third important point that we should all understand on the economic part is that farmers get a very low price for their produce, but the consumers are getting very high price. That same item, there's a big gap, and the middlemen get all the chunk, what benefit that farmers should basically realize. So there has to be a certain system where this middleman, this chunk which is taken away by the middleman is reduced, is brought down. So this also needed private mandis. So considering these factors, we have in 1955, we had another law, was the Essential Commodities Act, which said that the total stock holding which any trader or any middleman or any industrialist, etc., can hold. There was a upper limit to what it can hold. Because of that time, there was shortage of food grain production and there was a black marketing and hoarding problems. That time, these laws were made on Essential Commodities Act. And if you do not remove the limits of holding, so why any private investment or anybody will come and procure? If it will become illegal for him to store a sufficiently good quantity for any food processing industry or any other activities. And now our food grain production is quite surplus. The bigger problem is that there is a surplus production on the farm sectors. They do not, the market have the lower price they do not get the full price for their sale to the consumers, and there is the overproduction. So there has to be a need for the food processing industries. There was a requirement that the Essential Commodities Act limit on storing for any private sector or anything, anybody who want to go into setting up agro-based industries. His limit for holding food grain has to be removed. So that was the second important thing, private investment. Second was removing the upper limit of holding in the Essential Commodities Act was required. And the third was farmers had a problem with regard to futuristic price realization. So there was always a talk that they should have a advanced future agreement with the industry houses or food processing industries, where they can decide about what in a future rate when the produce is comes to the market, at what rate they can say the advance agreement or contract for selling their food produce can be entered into. And there was no structured law dealing with the futures contract for their produce with the actual industrialist or food processing industries, etc. So that was also required. So these were the three important criteria that were there in the mind of the government. First was removing the upper limit of Essential Commodities Act, because India has moved from food grain shortages production to surplus, and the limits which were set earlier were in 1955 were to deal with the shortages. Now they were not required. Second was the contract farming was required, where farmers get a protection so that in case of any failure in their production, their land is not taken over. There has to be a certain legal structure through which only they have an agreement for their produce, and which can be implemented if any industrialist or businessman or any food processing industry is not does not come to fulfill its commitment on the futures contract, then there has to be a mechanism through which it can be implemented. The land can be saved from any failures, etc. This was the contract farming was required. And the third was this reforms on the private mandis, bringing more mandis so that private producers can procure. This competition monopoly of APMC, etc. is removed. So these were the three areas which have been dealt in these three laws. There was a large consensus, even in the political parties, even various people, various farmers organizations, various committees that were set up by the government on this issue. So this was the economics and agriculture status, what led to these reforms being put into place. After this consensus and recommendation of the Standing Committee of the Agriculture, the government formulated these three laws, reform laws. These laws were put in place in June as an ordinance. Because of the COVID, suddenly the government thought that agriculture sector needs much more support, and this is the right time we bring about this reforms immediately the new crop was coming, and if these are opened up, this kind of reforms are taken place, agriculture sector can grow faster and have a better market orientation, transparency, etc. So we brought them in the form of ordinances. It was passed duly by the cabinet committee, and this law was in place since June 2020. When in November, what happened this time? Because ordinance have a lifetime of 6 months, they have to be converted, passed through the parliament within the 6 months. Otherwise, they get lapsed. So, in the last session, government brought this in the form of reform bills. These three reform bills were brought in. We have majority in the Lok Sabha. It was easily passed. What happened in the Rajya Sabha was that when there was discussion, there was ample discussion on the three reform laws, because
Volume is an issue. Video is frozen.
It might be connectivity. Gopal Agarwal ji is joining from Noida, India. So let's see. Let me message and see. Gopalji, if you are hearing, can you rejoin? I'm messaging him anyway. So meanwhile, if you can type in some of the questions, we can either group them together, or there are few, then we probably can based on the number of the questions, we can either take individuals or we can group them together.
hello, hello.
Yes, you are back. In between, I think your audio video also present. Okay, thank you.
So I told you the economic status, farm laws, and even after this law, the government, this one thing I would like to mention here is this agitation. Now the political, briefly I'll touch on the political aspect. What is mainly this agitation is from the Haryana and Punjab farmers. There is a thing is that these two states produce majority of wheat and rice, and MSP though is applicable across India, but these two states are producing majority of rice and wheat, and 90% of their produce is being procured by the central government through the state government on MSP. This is one thing. The total MSP spending by the central government, 60% of that is being utilized. Over the years, this was the structure that had been developed. So 60% of the total MSP spent by the central government, though we have 36 states and union territories, 60% of the total procurement by the central government was being procured from Punjab and Haryana. So majority of benefit of MSP was being taken by this Punjab and Haryana. Second thing is in Punjab, and Punjab around 25,000 middlemen, Adatiyas, what we call. There is a very well developed structure in Punjab on of APMC. So at APMC, current mandis charge about 6% fees from the farmers, out of which 3% goes to the state government as a rural development tax and 3% goes to the middleman, and it is around 6,000 crores annually. So what was happening was, what the central government was thinking, or general it is thought, that farmers from Punjab and Haryana were taking majority of benefit of the MSP. Other states were not getting that benefit, which has to be equally distributed. Punjab and Haryana also had a well-developed market structure of an APMC, which is not there in other states, where there is no government structure for particular APMC, etc. was not there. And there were not many, procurement was not taking place. So middleman was not having large chunk of fund that was being generated in Punjab and Haryana. So the annual money which is flowing to the middleman is around 6,000 crores annually. And this is the status. So these farmers from Punjab and Haryana thought that this new law, there were certain issues that were genuinely there, because government, in our laws, we had said that the private mandis which are being set up, there will be no fee structure, which is there in these current APMC mandis. This was one of the major demand, that ultimately this mandis, old mandis, will become uncompetitive, and new mandis, because of no fee structure, they will be at a better competitive edge. They will have a competitive edge. Second was, the farmers were thinking that the MSP will be removed, MSP will be withdrawn by the government. Third thing was, in the contract enforcement also, they had certain reservation, that we had decided that when there is a dispute at the local level, district level, there are small farmers, etc. And it is very costly for them and difficult for them to go to court. We had put a clause that SDM at the local level, district level, will settle the dispute if there is on those contracts which are entered into between the farmers and the purchaser. So he has to go to the SDM. So farmers had reservation that no, we don't want to get into the trap of the SDM, because he's too busy, and locally he can be influenced by businessmen, etc. We want to keep our right to go to the court. So these three important demands, that they were asking, that the current MSP structure should not be dismantled. Government agreed that we will give you in writing that the current MSP structure, which is applicable, though it is much in favor of Punjab and Haryana only, and other states are not getting that benefit. Still, that MSP structure, declaring MSP, government procurement on which has to be distributed to public distribution system, that will continue. And on the APMC mandi, because it in the federal structure, APMC basically legally, APMC comes under the state government, and interstate agriculture marketing is only under the domain of the central government. So the APMC cannot be legally dismantled by the central government law alone, unless state government passes that law. But still, they were saying that no, because of uncompetitiveness, ultimately APMC will be dismantled. So government agreed that there will be, the state government will also regulate the private mandis. They can levy fees, they can decide on the registration charges, etc., registration requirement, whatever rules and regulations they want to put on the private mandis. Similarly to the APMC, same they are allowed to do, about the state government are allowed to do. And MSP, third was that SDM was, government agreed to that we will set up a tribunal where farmers representative will be there, and other representative will there, and collector at the district level will also be member. And if the dispute, if any, it arises, that can be dealt in that. And even specifically, though we had written that the land will be free from the contract and nobody can acquire the land of the farmers, still again we were ready that any other requirement they have, it will be. any other return guarantee they want, we will modify amend the laws as such. That is also has been agreed on by the government. So the government had asked for that they should come talk whatever amendment they want. Initially, they were demanding that MSP, the government should give in a return assurance, but later on, the goalposts were changed that they were asking that the MSP be made, now they are asking the MSP be made legal. Anybody procuring below MSP will be illegal. So that is technically feasibly not possible because government procures only 15% of the total produce, and government cannot force private sector to procure at the MSP only. It has to be left to the market forces. That is one thing. And APMC already we have said that we have agreed to it. So, but their demand has now come to the status that these three laws have to be repealed, then only we will talk, and this Gherao, etc. has taken place. And on that issue, economically, I told that there was consensus, all process was formulated, everything was done through, and it was on the demand from the farmer side. Still, we have several letters across many farmers' organizations across the country, from Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, other states, which have shown full support to the government on the agriculture reform. But these two and some part of farmers from the Western UP are putting pressure on the government and participating in this agitation. On this, when the political aspect is this, that when in every manifesto of every political party, this is there that agriculture sector needs market reform, private investment has to be attracted, food processing industries has to be encouraged, it has to come through private investment only, essential commodities limit has to be removed, contract farming has to be more enforceable, a law has to be is required for making contract farming enforceable. All these were there in majority of political parties. Still, some of the political parties have jumped and tried to put the current government in a difficult position by supporting this farm agitation. And the lot of money is flowing. We know that lot of money, because of I told you that there was large money involved into particular stakeholders' interest will be hurt in the small run because they are thinking that this fees, etc., once their monopoly will go away, middlemen are thinking that their monopoly will be done away with, they will lose their financial benefit that they are getting. So a lot of funding is taking place. Even foreign countries, some of the foreign countries, because of political issues, have jumped into and these things have arisen. As far as economists, agriculture economists, requirement, etc. is concerned, everybody agrees that these reforms are needed. Unless these reforms are taken, implemented, agriculture sector will not grow as we want it is. So these are some of the remarks that I wanted to make, though I've taken longer time. But if you have any questions, we can deal further issues if you have any. As far as current government, our status is, say, we accept repealment of these three laws and making procurement at MSP, below MSP, illegal. Government has agreed to most of their demand, and still government is ready to discuss with them. Thank you. With this opening remark, I'll open it for discussion.
So thanks, Gopalji. You covered very well almost many areas from the questions. So we'll hand over to Ashwin to either read out the questions or open to the participant. Considering the time constraint is there, right? You can descend, Ashwin.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions that we are on the chat. The first one is from Mohan Shah. It's about the mechanization in farming and food processing. Perhaps smaller farmers could form cooperatives so that it is economically feasible to introduce mechanization. Is government encouraging any such efforts?
So I would recommend one thing. If you can look at the questions, Gopalji yourself also, because it might be possible that you can address in the same question 2-3 other questions. So group wise, and then Ashwin, you also group them together so that we will be able to cover as much as possible different questions in the setting.
I'll just look question sample. Stubble burning. Stubble burning. Okay, stubble burning. Then why can't add MSP? Mentioned in this law. So farmers, ye to we have dealt. MSP, I have told you. Question: contract farming is government amend the law. Yes, contract farming. State, I think I've answered my question on. Similar to VS, what is the stance of labor workers on the field? Are they equally benefiting from MSP manipulated? Okay. Fast track. Quotes. Okay. So I'll take this food processing industries, etc. What we have done is in Atmanirbhar Bharat, ultimately food farmers producers organization is being encouraged by the government, and government has committed about 1.5 lakh crores for farmers to get into activities of farmers producers organization. Seed capital of 10,000 crores is also being provided for farmers to form this. Ultimately, better realization of food grains will come from processing. It adds value, it adds life to the farm commodities. So, and at present, these food processing units are majorly at a quite distance from the farm sector. What government plans is that over a period, basic value addition should be done at the farm area, local area only. And that will come when, because about 80% of our farmland are fragmented and less than 5 acres of land is being held by farmers. So farmers producer organization is the only solution where they join together and work on the food processing, value addition, etc. For that, government is providing lot of support, technical, marketing, and even financial support. And this is through which area we are trying to do good. Second thing I would like to mention is that we have a very successful example in Amul. It is, though it is a cooperative, it is a sort of farmers producer group of farmers association only, and there is no MSP on the milk production, milk product, etc. But the whole it is the farmers producers of milk, those who decide their price, at what price they will sell, and there are very little amount that the middlemen get. Majority of what the consumer pay goes to the producers of the milk. So we have a very good example in Amul Dairy, which is a cooperative, and that is an example. And our government also wants, in addition to farm sector, animal husbandry and dairy farming, etc., poultry farming, etc. Unless these activities are incorporated into the agriculture sector, their income will not increase. So that is also an example in which we can look into. Milk is a produce which a lot of farmers are very familiar. This is an example where FPO can be successful, and without even MSP, though we have committed for the MSP, but still without MSP also, without market distorting practice like MSP, still the government, the farmers can get a good produce. That stubble burning question was there. Farmer, we have, because of pollution, government has put one clause that there will be large penalty on stubble burning to the farmer. There is a demand by these farmers, agitators, that this is too draconian and very harsh, and this should be removed. Government has agreed that we will not put that harsh a penalty, and we will relax on that. That is there. MSP, we have given them a written assurance that MSP, Prime Minister day before yesterday also spoke in his lecture with the farmer that I am assuring you the current currently also MSP is an administrative mechanism. And it is not a legal, because every year on every farm commodity, a different price has to be set. If MSP is made a legal structure at the present, then every year it will have to go to the parliament to set a price. There will be a lot of complication, but whatever the complication, the current administrative mechanism for implementation of MSP will continue as it is, and government will continue to procure whatever it wants, because public distribution system requires that the government has to procure on MSP from the farmers. So that is also assured. On the contract farming, I think I have covered, because they had one reservation about SDM not taking their concerns seriously. So they wanted let it be open to the court, or they have only suggested that a tribunal, agriculture tribunal be set at the district level, which will form part from the farmers also, representative and others. So that also the government has agreed into. We had this LTM issue because we thought that the court are very expensive and they take a long time to settle any give order or any judgment. Therefore, we had to set up this condition of SDM, first going through the SDM, deciding through the SDM only local dispute, which will be faster and easier and less costly. So, but farmers have not agreed. We have relaxed on that they can go to tribunal or to the court. So these were some of the questions that I wanted to. One more example I would like to give is about the sugar cane. Sugar cane, the government announces the minimum support price every year, but sugar cane is procured by not the government, but the private sector, which is being asked by the farmer that even you make it compulsory for the private sector also to procure at MSP only. So sugarcane is such a structure, but annually we have seen a lot of problem being generated in the sugarcane industry. Though private sector, it is compulsion for the private sector to procure at the MSP this sugarcane, but every year government has to give subsidy. It is to the tune of 75,000 crores annually. So total food grain, at least it is around 15 to 18 lakh crores annual production on the food grain sector. That the government cannot procure it on MSP.
So there's another question, Gopalji. It is about big corporations eventually taking over the sector and how it is impacting the smaller players.
This is unfounded. One thing is, ultimately every association or any recommendation was that we need private sector investment into the agriculture, marketing, processing, storage, transmission, transportation. So private investment, without private investment, how this agriculture sector will develop? One thing. It was a demand by the Farmers Association themselves that we need private investment, more investment. Private investment can only be there. As regard private corporate sectors taking over the mandis, etc. So the government, farmers have a choice. It is not that they will current APM with the APMC structure continuing. Mandis already, whatever 7,000 mandis are they are there. No, government is not going to dismantle those mandis. So they have a choice now. At present, they are at the mercy of these mandis, middlemen, artiyas only, that they legally, they cannot sell out of, even if I want as a industry businessman or consumer, I want to purchase from some farmers directly, I'm not allowed, and farmer is not allowed to sell to anybody outside the mandi. So this has created a monopolistic structure in the APMC, and they are exploiting. And they are not only government is procuring only on MSP of 15%. On that also they are getting full fees from the farmers only. Ultimately, this fees is also paid by the farmer. So they have to pay fees. Outside, we have thought that there will be no fees. They will have a choice. Farmers will have a choice that if they want to sell at the APMC, they can sell at the APMC mandis only. And outside private mandis, if they don't want to sell, they don't. There was no compulsion for them to go. It is an additional choice, and we were trying to break the monopoly of the aditiyas and middlemen, and that was the demand for farmers for last 2 decades. So, and in the contract farming also, the farmer has the choice to get into if he doesn't want to get into a contract with the private producer or private buyer, he has no compulsion to get into the contract. He can grow, sell at the time after that. And in that we have kept this point very clearly. The private contract under the third law, the private contractor, the contract is, he cannot take any loan on that contract, because if he does some investment for anything in the farm, putting up equipment, mechanization, etc., to support the production from the farm agriculture through that contract, he cannot take any loan on that from any bank, etc. So that pledging cannot be there, so that later on, if that project fails or farm produce fails, that equipment, etc., bank, etc., cannot take that land. Even specifically, it has been said that the land cannot be pledged. No action can be taken on the farmer's land. There can be no agreement on the farmer's land for pledge or recovery. A proceeding cannot take place based on the land specifically has been written. Third thing is that in case of failure of farm, whatever insurance money comes, because government has given insurance for failures of farm, agriculture insurance, that money will go to the landowner and not to the person who has entered into the contract. And even this has been given a specific clause that the farmers can walk out of this contract, but not the businessmen. If farmers think that I can sell at a higher rate, we have given it the option in the contract. So this whole third law is completely in favor of farmers, and he has the choice to enter or not to enter, and even walk out if he doesn't want later on. But the buyer or the businessman does not have the right. So what my thinking is, I have been associated in the various reform processes, etc. My understanding that we were all thinking that still more reforms are needed and more private investment is required, more market-oriented policy is required. And it cannot be left to the government that it will decide the price, it will procure and then sell at a lower price. That is not feasible at all. So this is the issue.
Thank you for that. Another interesting question that came out was, do we have something like this in other countries? That is this MSP common to only India, or other countries also has something like this?
On this, I would like to just mention, I have not studied whether other countries have, but I told that farmers are getting many type of support in India. One is the subsidies, various kind of subsidies, then direct fund benefit transfer is also there. Then in credit, low rate credit is also there. And MSP is there, where minimum price support is given. At Canada had been Canadian president had talked about that farmers, MSP should continue. He had given certain statement which was not conducive to India. If you look into the WTO discussions and agreement, every time, and Canada 10 or 11 times had been pointing out that the Indian government is giving a lot of support to the farmers, and they were always asking that MSP be removed by India. And many countries were against India going for such a large agriculture sector support. So that is the issue that they had been talking at WTO platform for putting pressure on the government to remove MSP, etc., rationalize subsidy, remove subsidy, etc. But the government had continued. So it is a dual, they are saying something at the WTO forum, many of the countries, and at present, even they are taking a counter position, looking into the different political aspect or diplomatic aspect or their own interest, political interest. That is just I wanted to point out.
Thank you. There are a couple more questions.
Support is there in many countries. Even I think US, etc., also have a lot of subsidies on the thing. But MSP, I don't have that knowledge.
Thank you. There are a couple more questions on the chat, but we can open it up and ask if there is any questions directly you want to ask for Gopalji. You can unmute and ask the question, or otherwise I can go back to the chat and ask.
So I have one question. Hello.
Yeah, Sachindraji, go ahead.
So Gopalji, namaskar, this is Sachindranath. Yeah, so my question is about the contract between the farmers and the sponsors. So in the act, it is said that government may provide some kind of the contract, but can it be the mandatory that the template should be finalized by the government so that the private sector puts some kind of other condition in the contract and all, and farmers may not be impossible it's not possible for them to hire the advocates and all to go around that. So there should be one kind of the model contract, and all the conditions should be there, whether it's applicable on the contract or not, so that it can be streamlined. And the other question for the farm contracting for me is the registration. We just require the PIN number for the registration for the sponsor. So it should be more, strengthened, right? The background of the background of the sponsors and all, rather than the PIN numbers.
Both questions are important. On the PAN number, earlier we had in the law, there was a condition that anybody who want to procure from the farmers and set up a private mandi, at the private mandi, he has to just give his PAN number and do the procurement. And there was apprehension that tomorrow if he runs away and does not pay to the farmers, how it will be done. So we have changed the law and agreed to change the law. We have not amended it, but agreed to amend it if the farmers agree, that the state government can set up different conditions. Their registration for similar to the APMC mandis registration for their intermediary, similar registration for private mandis can be decided by the state government. Whatever rules they want to put, whatever conditions they want to put, state government is free to regulate these private mandis also, including registration of the mandis, deciding on what conditions they will be allowed to set up mandis, what fee structure they want to put for these private mandis, and registration of intermediaries also. The whole process, whatever documentation, whatever amount, whatever security deposit they want to give, they can decide. So this has been opened. This problem has been tackled. On the model contract, government, because there are so many items, so many conditions, different issues, model contract and depending upon different requirement, etc., government has not provided any model contract as such, because there will be thousands and thousands of contracts which can do various conditions. But we have put this condition that within a month, whatever contract is entered into by the farmers and the sponsor, that has to be properly documented and given to registered with the this SDA, so that later on they will study. If later on anybody any sponsor try to back off, that there is a proof that that process was thought that will also some vetting will be also there at that point of time. But if model contract note can also be looked into, but it will be quite cumbersome. But ultimately, if you register a contract and it is vetted by the ATM, etc., that will be, I think, sufficiently tackle this issue.
This is sorry. This is Dr. Sampath Shivangi from Jackson, Mississippi. I had doubts about whether Khalistani movement has gone into farmers' movement. Has it changed the whole issue now, or is it just a imagination?
No, this agitation was started by the farmers. Government has no doubt on that and no two stand on it. The agitation, but particularly this was, I have told you the economics of it, why it was restricted to people who are involved in majorly Punjab, Haryana, and some part of Western UP and the middlemen. On that agitation, piggybacking has been done by these elements, and even whether it is the foreign countries, certain elements in Canada, UK, US, etc., have thought it as an opportunity. By financing also, there is ultra some Maoist elements have also penetrated, some political parties have also penetrated, even outside India, certain Khalistani element have tried to piggyback on this agitation. But we don't at present consider this as a movement by those people in India as far as is concerned, because government has allowed the agitation. There is no force being used by our government at all. Whatever offer to these farmers was done was even to the extent that they have a large chunk of land was provided them, where government will create all the facilities, tent, medical facility, toilets, and doctors. All these facilities will be provided. They can stay there, agitate, talk. Even government is ready to talk to them on every issues. Now the Supreme Court has also set up, but ultimately this agitation, thank God this agitation, there is no violence. It's a peaceful agitation as such at present, and government has not to use, government is not forced to use any force at present. But ultimately, certain elements have been trying to infiltrate and take benefit of it. One of them is outside India is this kind of Khalistani movement, but it is more of an apprehension as such. It is more of a financial loss to this particular segment, which is driving this agitation.
We were concerned only because it happened in Washington, D.C. This group of people even defaced Mahatma Gandhi's statue, which is very reprehensible. We felt really, upset about that. So I was wondering what is the reaction in India about it?
No, but even farmers, we have been regularly talking to them, and they are also aware of this apprehension that certain untoward incident, these elements are trying to take over. That will not help the farmers, because it will, they also understand that that will completely derail the whole agitation.
Okay, we have two more questions. I know two people have raised their hands. Neeraj ji, you can go first, and then followed by Keshav ji.
Namaste Gopal ji. This is Neeraj Kashalkar from Irvine. I have a quick question. Before that, I have one small comment. I agree with Dr. Sampath ji. We do see some Khalisani element here also in Los Angeles area. We personally got the death threats here. My question to you is, this is such a important and like a very important and helping farmers bill, but we did not see the massive campaign before passing that bill. Meaning previously I saw government actually doing very nice job of selling those ideas, new information to public, and then passing the bill so everyone is ready. But in this particular bill, I did not see it, or my friends did not see it here. So is there any specific reason, or it was already done and now it is becoming more political? Thank you very much.
This is an important question. What I would like to tell you is, in my introductory remark, I said that there was an extensive debate for last 2 decades on what is needed in the farm sector as a reform. And there was consensus on these reforms. So one thing which drove us to this decision was there was a complete consensus. I told various farmers organizations, various agriculture economists, all. You see any report, you will find even political parties manifesto said about implementation of these reforms. They did not have the willpower to implement. That's a different question. And vested interest always took over their decision making on these reforms. But ultimately there was a consensus. So we thought that there is a consensus, and over 2 decades, the same discussion. Ultimately, it is the implementation which is required. So discussion was there. And then I gave you an example of 60-second report on the Standing Committee of Agriculture from the Parliament, which had contacted almost 300 organizations. It is listed, documented. All those 300 organizations were consulted based on their moving around the country. They gave this recommendation for these laws. And based on that Parliament Standing Committee, these laws were formulated and implemented. Even the agriculture sector ministers had recommended these reforms. So those who say that without any discussion, I think it's quite unreasonable. Secondly, this was a law of the land since June. So why in November this agitation? If anybody had any difference, they should have come in the June itself when it was made the law. Second thing, in the Parliament also, ultimately in democracy, who will formulate the law? It is the Parliament. And Parliament has all the representatives from all parties. They discussed and it was passed from the Parliament. And laws can be on the streets of the city. Their consideration, everything. So there was ample discussion, debate, and we thought, how many times we will discuss the same thing? One thing more I will tell here, one thing is, we have already implemented labor reforms, major labor reforms in 4 codes. Nobody is now talking. It is already in the public domain. And it has been passed by the Parliament. When it is waiting for the notification will come and it will be implemented from April 2021. Then again the agitation will start. So this is a continuous process of anti-current government manifestation, one after different issues that is being. Nobody is talking about labor reforms so much now, but it is law already passed. So this kind of thing, we are very apprehensive that again the same logic, same thing will start.
Thank you. Okay. Keshavji, you can go next.
I'm Keshav Patel from Los Angeles. Sir, you have given good talk and good explanations. I think if you find out some more friends and try to convince the farmers, because this is a sensitive problem now, and before it goes into the hands of the terrorist or Khalistan like that, it should be solved. I called our agriculture minister Tomarji on 14th night hour and 15th morning. I talked with him and I suggested if solution cannot be obtained right now, then this act should be sustained, cannot be put on hold for the 6 months and find out, talk with the farmers and find out the solution, then try to implement this. So for that, that suggestion should not go from the government. It should come from the farmer. Now farmer don't know about it, so it should be inspired. So I ask him to provide at least 5 names of the farmers with their phone number or email, so that I try to convince them. But till now I didn't get any. That is another part. But people like you can convince them. I think so. So it is very necessary, our urgent request to you to please convince all the farmers and stop this hesitation. Thank you.
I would like to mention one thing here, which is very important for all of you to get into the whole issue of politics of this, is that majority of farmers privately agree that these reforms are needed and they will not harm them. Only what happens is whenever you bring a reform, if there is two states which are getting benefit, definitely their middlemen are going to lose. Ultimately, middlemen, we want to reduce the chunk which the middlemen get and better realization of farm produce prices to the farmers goes only when there is a removal or reduction in the middleman profit or benefit, and for that we have to break their monopoly. That is one thing. And we also need a private, and for that breaking monopoly, a private competitive mandi was the only solution. So basically farmers, majority of farmers know this, understand this, but it is their personal interest which is putting them at risk. As far as their apprehension about MSP, APMC, we have amply corrected them, and we have many of the organizations across India which have given us in writing that the government should not backtrack on these reforms. It is very important that after 70 years, for 70 years, Indian government has tried everything, but the farm sector is still in very bad shape. Unless these reforms take place, for another 50, 60 years, agriculture sector will be in a bad shape unless these reforms are brought. We are so confident that everyone will agree in India that these reforms are very important. They have to be implemented. Without them, the agriculture sector will not develop. This is the need of the hour. So that is the situation. And majority, we have talked to every farmer. Even these farmers organization also, one meeting took more than 7.5 hours, where 32 representatives of these agitating associations were there, and they talked to the agriculture minister and commerce minister for whole 7.5 years. Government has asked, even today we are ready. You read clause wise clause, every clause of the reforms, and if you find anything draconian or if you find anything, we are ready to amend that. Give us in writing. We are. What more can we do? They are only asking repeal. So I think ultimately Supreme Court will now has taken over, and it will. They will have to agree to whatever the government status is. Government cannot go back at this stage. And as far as this agitation going out, it is not, currently the government is not using force.
So thank you.
If untoward incident, or if we have certain more information about agitation going out of control, the government can take actions also.
So thank you, Gopalji. It has been a wonderful session. Good that you observed that the agitation is going on. It's a part of the democracy. Government is encouraging, rather the negotiating and trying to calm it down. So that's a proper process. Unfortunately, this should have been settled, and I hope it will be settled very soon. We hope to arrange such type of informative sessions in future. I once again thank Gopal Krishna Agarwal ji, who is Bharatiya Janata Party's National Economic Affairs in charge. He's in the profession for a while. He also has been advising and has been a man behind the recent budget, means like influencing a lot. We have seen that whenever there is a change happen, of course, there is a resistance. There is always some of the people get impacted. By and large, we need to see what is better, whether our country, India is getting ready for its due role in 21st this century. So without such type of reforms in all sections, and particularly important section, without that happening, this journey will not take place. So it is good that the government has a will and ready to take a good the stand and trying to take it to the right direction. As many people express the concern, the information probably is getting distorted. There are some campaigns, there might be certain way that because masses would not understand the amount of information you actually had given to us. It's pretty good, but they may need different type of audience, may need different type of a level of information, like say 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Pitches, like elevator pitches to the ordinary people, to the farmers, to the experts, to the academicians, to the actual people who are engaged in the field. And it is not just the government job. I think those people who are active in the area, and whether they are in country, whether they are in outside, need to take that, like Gopal ji has really provided this statistics. We are going to put this video on our YouTube channel, on feeds as well as on Facebook. So please visit and also encourage folks who have a lot of questions to hear the numbers and the data and the background that he has presented. And let's use that to create smaller either videos or presentations so that you can inform your own contacts. So with that, I would like to just once again thanks everybody for joining. Actually, this is now holiday season.
It's midnight for him.
And Gopal ji, actually for him it is exactly now 12 o'clock. In 1 minute he will be the
midnight.
Yeah, midnight.
Completely.
Yeah. Thank you everybody, and we'll end this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste, Gopal ji. Can I have your phone number, please?
Yeah, Gopal ji, please go ahead.
I would like to thank Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies for giving this opportunity. एक कमेंट में ये कहना था, 1991 में इंडिया embarked on a lot of reforms. It is still remembered. It was mainly FDI and manufacturing, etc. But agriculture and labor, two areas that time were left out of those reform process. And it is now that this kind of reform is taking place. So after 91 movement, this is the moment for India to go on a mega reform. And I am very active on the Twitter, Gopal K. Agarwal. You can put any question on Atmanirbhar Bharat, budget or manufacturing or Make in India. I had been to US on the Make in India initiative of the government also, to many parts in the US and other countries also. So Gopal K. Agarwal is my Twitter handle, where you can put any comment or connect with me. My number, everything is available. So we can connect through that.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Ashwini
Thank
ji, and
you.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Gopalji. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste, Gopalji.
You
Thank you,
go
Khandevan
to
ji.
the
Namaste.
various places and talk on this, as Mr. Rao has said. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This
Thank
Farmer
you, guys.
Act is really for
Thank
the
you, guys.
farmers in